This is Harry Watling after Ebbsfleet 0, Eastleigh 1. Goal in the second half following an error by Mark Cousins led to the defeat. I mean, a heartbreaking way to lose.
Yeah, really difficult one to take, to consume, to evaluate really, because I feel like it was. I don't want to disrespect the game, but it was a game where it was quite even, and it was. I felt it was going to take a moment of magic, someone maybe bending one in from 25 yards, or a mistake. Otherwise, I think everybody walks away there with a 0-0 going. It was probably a 0-0 game. So look, it's difficult to sort of sum up at the moment. It's still very raw, but obviously the lads in there are disappointed. But after speaking to them, we know what we need to do.
Would you like to share that?
I think that the honesty that we have in the changing room and what's said in the changing room is really important that it stays there. So I won't go into details, but we're sticking together, and I think that's the most important thing. If we're being written off left and right, it is what it is. But we have to stick together because that's all we've got. We've got each other. So that's who we look at in the eyes every day when we come into work, and we have to prepare and attack Saturday.
For the first hour before the goal went in on 61 minutes, it was resolute defending. It wasn't always orthodox, but it got the job done. And as you say, it was a very even kind of game, nip and tuck. But there didn't seem to be a lot of offensive threat from Ebbsfleet because you had to be on the back foot a lot of the time.
Well, two different halves really. So in the first half, obviously we was a back four with wingers. We felt that we could nullify their threats at half time by making a change, and we felt that we did that. And with the two up, pressed down on them a little bit more, balls down the sides. And unfortunately, it took their bench a little bit of a while to work out what was going on. But we gave them an early Christmas present, so it's difficult to put a foothold in the game when things like that are happening. And then obviously you chase it, they'll naturally drop off. Momentum's going our way, but again, I have to look at sort of what we are doing in the final third. Teams work all week to get into the positions we get into at the edge of the box and the top of the box and the corners of the box. And we've got to be more ruthless around those moments. It might be taking an extra touch to draw the reaction of a defender rather than thrashing at it and crossing it first time. But we got in some unbelievable areas in the second half. And I agree with you, in the first half it was deal with their threats, particularly down this right-hand side. But yeah, game of two halves, and ultimately disappointed, but I need to download everything that's kind of happened tonight.
Are you suffering from having too many players around on the training field? I mean, because of injuries, a lot of players have come into the club during the season, and you've got a much bigger squad than you would want. I mean, is it difficult to work with that number of players on the training field?
It is what it is. We've got a lot of players that are not with the group, that are rehabbing. So squad selection at this current moment in time hasn't been like an overridingly major problem in terms of leaving out 5s and 6 players, because we haven't got them available. The ones that we have got available and the ones that are going on the pitch are the ones that are showing their best face every week. And look, it doesn't matter if I've got 50 players. If I have a young player step up from the academy and show me what I've been shown in the last couple of weeks, I'll play him anyway. So that's the job of the manager. Whether you've got a bare 18 to choose from and they just go out and makes your life easy, or you've got those problems, they're the problems that you're paid to make the decisions on. So I certainly don't want to use that as an excuse. And one thing I would say, because I don't want it to be misconstrued, our environment in there is good. We come in every day, we work hard every day, we do our due diligence. We've got major confidence problems on the pitch at the moment in terms of belief. We need the ball to go in off the end of someone's shin pad for something to turn for us. Tonight is a perfect example of us giving away a really silly mistake and handing them all 3 points. Whereas, like I said to you, I believe the game probably finishes as a dead rubber if that doesn't happen.
You mentioned young players can make a mark, and you introduced Max Manxlow off the bench tonight, a young player coming through the academy, and that was a bright cameo that he had, and he's got a future ahead of him, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen him. I know he featured in some competitions before I got here anyway, so the credit has to go to the guys who are working in the academy. Gilly and Keds that are working hard with the guys as well as the coaches, so they need a huge pat on the back for sort of putting Max forwards in the first place and bringing him to our attention. But if you're good enough, you're good enough. He's not put a foot wrong, he's low maintenance, he's high performance, he runs around exactly how you would expect a young player to. When you put a young player on the pitch, they have a natural enthusiasm that is unmatched. They have trialist eyes. They still have those trialist eyes, that hunger and that desire. So yeah, that was a small positive from tonight. And again, if he continues to go along that path, he'll continue to get minutes while I'm the manager.
And taking a longer view forward, I mean, it's players like Max that are the future of the club, aren't they? And I guess you'll be working to introduce more of those sort of players in the future.
Well, I think that's quite clear. I think what we have to try and do as a football club is, as best we can, get players on their way up. That's so important to everything that we want to do, that we want to be. And again, it's difficult for the young boy. I don't want to talk about him too much because I don't want to put too much pressure on him. But we've got young players in and around the squad, even JT and Dylan, who's backing up Cuzza, Harrison. Frank is still very young, so we've got to look after the younger ones, but you also need the older ones in and around it to nurture that and to pass on their experience and their maturity with how they sort of lived their life for the last sort of 15 years of their career. But like I say, I owe football that. Football gave me that, coming through as a young player, not quite getting through in the academy system, then coming through as a coach at an academy system. I owe football that back, to not shut the door on young players if they are good enough.
You really wanted 3 points tonight. You got 2 home games in quick succession, didn't get the points tonight. So it puts more pressure on you and the guys for Saturday's game against the side immediately above you, Boston. They've just had a new manager came in. He had a good result in his first game, not such a good one in his second game. But that's going to be a real important game for both teams, isn't it? Yeah,
the pressure, I'll take that. I don't want the players to take that. I want the players to go out and play as freely as they possibly can in the scenario that they're in. In terms of all of the outside stuff, we don't need to read that. We don't need to listen to that. We have to make sure that our unity is really close and that we stick together. No one gets relegated in November. You can't find me a league where they do, unless something mad happens with worldwide. But we have to stick together. But the pressure comes with every job in football. That's a privilege because you're in a position where you're expected to produce. So it's not the first club where I've been under pressure, and it won't be the last. So you have to embrace it and enjoy it to a certain extent, because when it turns, it's going to be a beautiful feeling.
But 3 points would come in handy on Saturday, wouldn't they?
3 points would be marvellous on Saturday.
Well, let's hope you get them. Good luck.
Thank you.